live and local. This is Fox 7 Austin News at 9.
Good evening and thanks for staying up late with us tonight. I'm Destiny Chance. Former UT football star and NFL running back Cedric Benson is dead after a fiery motorcycle crash last night. Police say a woman who has not been identified also died in that crash. Fox 7 Austin Shannon Ryan joins us in studio with the details tonight. Shannon.
Destiny, police believe speed and poor visibility may have played a role in this crash. Today we spoke with members of Benson's football network. They remember the 36-year-old for his smile, thirst for life, and love of motorcycles.
It was a real tough game, and he was doing most of the work. And at halftime, he come up and said, "Coach, you're going to have to give me a little help, man. It seems like I'm doing everything by myself, you know." And I said, "Well, hell, the great ones can do it by themselves." And he just looked at me funny and walked away. And then he come back about 2 minutes later and said, "I'll carry it every time if you need to, because I'm going to be one of those great ones."
Speaking with Fox 7 Austin on the phone, Cedric Benson's former high school football coach and lifelong friend remembers what it was like to guide the young star. He admits the former UT player and NFL running back had struggled once his time with the NFL had come to an end.
When all the lights fade away and you're not playing on Sundays anymore or not playing on Saturdays, you know, and I don't think anybody prepares you for that.
But nothing could have prepared Parchman for the news he received this weekend. At the age of 36, Benson is dead.
Officers responded to a crash between a motorcycle and a white minivan.
Austin police say a white minivan pulled out of Mount Bonnell Road onto FM 2222, hitting Benson's motorcycle. He was killed along with a woman he had been riding with. Police have not yet identified her. The news left the football community devastated.
He was never, ever anything but 100%. He was bright-eyed, ready to do anything that he could to help me and help our football program.
Benson's former teammate Rod Babers remembers his thirst for life.
I just remember, you know, he was fearless. He had a thirst for life. For most of us, couldn't stomach his thirst for life.
It was that thirst for life that those close to Benson say was his greatest strength and most dangerous quality.
We really believe that possibly speed had a lot to do with it. Unfortunately, this area really has poor visibility.
Parchman says Benson was passionate about motorcycles. It was a love they both shared.
So if you're a running back in the NFL, you also look at fear a little bit different. And so some of the things he did with that bike and other things like that was, you know, I might have done them, but at a much slower pace, you know, and that's just the nature of the game he played. You know, if you're fearful, you don't last very long. So that's kind of a double-edged sword, because it's what makes you great, but it's also what gets you in trouble.
After last night's crash, Austin police put out a message on social media encouraging drivers to look twice for motorcyclists. According to TxDOT, on average, a motorcyclist is killed on Texas roads each day.
Thank you, Shannon. Well, Fox 7 Austin sports anchor John High is joining us now. And John, if I'm correct, you heard about this tragic news before it was even confirmed.
Right. Yeah, I was up late, and around 2:30, Tanya Ortega, our morning news anchor, gave me a call telling me that she had heard some news about possibly Cedric Benson passing. We couldn't confirm it at the time, and there was like one tweet out about it, but not a lot of talk like it was earlier today. And yeah, once she told me that and it got confirmed, it's crazy, because we've covered this guy since his high school years, so it was definitely tough news for me.
And since you've been covering him since early on in his career, since he was here at UT, what's the biggest thing that stood out to you about him?
Just the way he ran the ball. He was a running back like, I don't want to say like no other, because they've had Earl Campbell and they had Ricky Williams, but man, he just ran with so much power, and man, he would just run over you. I remember, like I said earlier, the first time I ever saw him play in person was at UT when they were playing. He was in high school at Midland Lee playing against Westlake. And he was just so dominant. I mean, it was ridiculous, and he just wowed me from then. And I mean, he liked to give back. You know, I remember covering him in this story here. He was over in Montopolis helping these kids out. It was a dropout program, and man, he was just a really good guy.
What inspired him to start that program?
He said he didn't have a father figure. He didn't have a father around when he was younger, and he wanted to give back to kids. I mean, he just had that kind of heart. You know, he could relate to those kids and you know, help them out in life. And so that was one of the main reasons he said he had done it.
Yeah, lots of people definitely missing him, and our prayers and condolences go out to him and his family.
And the female that was with him.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And hopefully we'll have that confirmed soon of who that was.
Or later in sports, yeah, we'll have former UT head football coach Mack Brown, and as you saw earlier, Rod Babers. We kind of go in depth with him. He played
phenomenal
with him.
Sound.
Yeah, he played with him a couple of years. So.
All right, well, thank you, John.
All righty.
Well, switching gears here, Elgin police need your help tonight in finding a missing person. Police are looking for Alex Aviles. He hasn't been seen since last Monday night in the Austin area. Aviles was last seen wearing a black t-shirt with the word Levi printed on the front, dark pants, and a gold chain necklace. Police say he was driving a company truck, a 2003 white Ford with temporary paper tags. If you know where he is or could be, call Elgin Police. Starting next month, law enforcement will be alerted if a driver has difficulty communicating during a traffic stop. The Samuel Law will go into effect on the 1st of September to help individuals who may be deaf or autistic. Fox 7 Austin's Natalie Martinez joins us live from the Capitol with details. Natalie.
Destiny, the Samuel Allen Law will create a peace of mind for thousands of families in Texas, acting as a safety net for officers and people with mental disorders to help them communicate effectively.
Samuel Allen was 16 when he got his driver's license. His mother, Jennifer Allen, says she had her concerns, but her biggest was Sam's ability to communicate.
Probably one of the top 5 concerns of any parent is when their child goes to drive. They are terrified that if their child gets on the road that there's going to be a challenge with communication with law enforcement. They're frightened. And I will tell you, that was one of my biggest fears when Sam was going to drive.
If communication can be a challenge for people like Sam with autism, the Allens thought, what about people who are deaf, have PTSD or Parkinson's? In an effort to help others, the Allens pushed for Senate Bill 976, also known as the Samuel Allen Law, giving people with conditions that may affect their communication abilities a chance to have stress-free interactions with law enforcement.
Having something like this can be a very important safety net. It could allow someone with any communication impediment to live a life closer to independence.
The act gives people the option to disclose their diagnosis when registering their vehicle through the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles. An officer can run the driver's license plate in their telecommunications system and see that the driver has a communication impediment, all while keeping the information between the officer and the driver.
A lot of times, you know, you can have bumper stickers or symbols on the back of your license plate, but for persons with a mental disability, such as Sam, or has, you know, autism, well, they don't want to be target of public scrutiny.
Allen was recognized at the Capitol for his work in the autism community. His bill was a part of his mother's Driving with Autism initiative, aiming to educate the public and law enforcement. The Samuel Allen Law has also garnered attention from other state legislators.
I want to share this with the country.
I have to say, yeah, you know, both my mom and I, we're amazed and we're honored that this whole thing has grown so big to the point where other states are wanting to adapt it.
We'll have more information on the Driving with Autism initiative on our website, fox7austin.com. Reporting live from the Capitol, Natalie Martinez, Fox 7 Austin News.
In national news, attempted murder charges have been filed against the man accused of shooting 6 Philadelphia police officers during an hours-long standoff Wednesday. Other charges against 36-year-old Maurice Hill include multiple counts of aggravated assault and assault of a law enforcement officer. This comes after police say Hill barricaded himself inside a house when police tried to serve a narcotics warrant. Hill was denied bail during a preliminary arraignment. He's due back in court on September 5th. This week's shooting in Philadelphia is one of many instances that show the dangers police officers could face in the line of duty. That's why it's important for officers to stay proactive in any situation that could take a turn for the worse. But a new phenomenon called cop shaming is causing a rift in that process. And in an age where cell phones, cameras, social media, and the internet is now easily accessible to practically everyone, videos of police misconduct can go viral and lead to public scrutiny. It's something new research from the McCombs School of Business at UT shows is causing low proactivity among public safety officers. Joining us now to discuss this is co-author of that study, Dr. Shefali Patel, Assistant Professor of Management at the McCombs School of Business. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Dr. Patel, your study is partly called I Want to Serve, but the Public Does Not Understand. You interviewed 183 officers across 6 agencies. What did you learn about proactivity and how public scrutiny plays a role in their job performance?
So I learned that public scrutiny actually plays an incredibly large role in decreasing the proactivity of police officers. So what I was basically finding was that police officers are less likely to go above and beyond their jobs in order to address community problems. So one of the biggest issues is engaging in proactive community policing. That means trying to reach out to members of the community, trying to address problems, trying to be proactive in a situation as well, dealing with smartphones, recordings, etc. And police officers are less likely to be proactive even though they're incredibly driven to help others. And the reason why they became police officers was essentially to help.
Wow. So any other trends that you have seen during this study? You mentioned a little bit just then.
Yeah, so the study was conducted over several years, and I'm actually finding that there's not exactly a change in the behavior. So after the several years, there have been highly publicized incidents. What I'm actually not seeing is that there are changes in proactivity where police officers are becoming more immune. I kind of seeing the same trends, and when they're not as proactive because of the scrutiny that they're facing, and they don't put in the same kind of energy that they typically would, even if they want to help the public.
Wow. And we noticed that your study not only focuses on officers, you actually interviewed more than 230 firefighters across 8 nations or 8 stations in the U.S. Did you see the same kind of trends as well?
Yeah, so that's absolutely right. So I wanted to look at a less heavily scrutinized occupation to see if this was general findings in the context of public safety officials. So I actually found that firefighters too kind of feel hurt in a way when the public fails to understand how difficult their jobs are. So with firefighters, a lot of the issues have to do with dealing with the opioid crisis and how difficult it is. Usually they are the ones who are responding to drug overdoses. A lot of that relies on them, which is not very widely known to the public. So I'm finding a very similar kind of reaction among firefighters where even among those who wanted to do their jobs and chose their jobs in order to help others, this kind of misalignment, what we call as image discrepancies, how the public is not seeing the actual realities of their jobs, that kind of hurts firefighters along with law enforcement officers.
I'm sure you're aware of this. Nowadays, there are body cameras on most officers. What role does that play in your study in terms of accountability concerns among the police force?
Yeah, so that's definitely an interesting question. So I have additional research that I'm currently conducting with the effects of body cameras on officer behaviors. And what I'm finding is kind of interesting. So police officers actually are fairly big advocates of the body cameras. They themselves want the cameras because they kind of feel a little threatened by not being able to show their side of the story. So what I'm actually finding is that the more that they have body cameras and access to body cameras, they actually feel a little protected in the case of accusations of misconduct. And actually the sense of being kind of protected also leads them to feel less in tension with the public, and they're less anxious when they're actually dealing with the public. So the body cameras actually, in addition to increasing transparency, it kind of fundamentally changes how officers are actually behaving on patrol.
Wow. Well, Dr. Shefali Patel, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks again for having me.
Coming up next, caught on camera, a house fire rescue in Ohio, and the people inside had no idea their home was going up in flames. Plus, Wow, talk about a scare. Two friends on a kayaking trip in Alaska got more than they bargained for when they were almost killed by large chunks of falling glacier. A closer look at those terrifying moments straight ahead.
And Camp Mabry hit a high of 103 degrees today. That makes 14 days in a row of triple-digit heat. We're likely going to see that hot streak continue into the work week. I'll have the details on that. We'll also talk about some rain chances headed our way. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, really looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah,
next Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday will be nice, mid to upper 90s. That's going to feel probably quite a bit cooler than what we've been dealing with.
Nonetheless, still need the water and the sunblock and everything to keep us
all
safe.
The summer essentials.
Right. Thank you, Chelsea.
You bet.
This is pretty freaking cool.
Wow, caught on camera. Two kayakers getting into a scary situation in Alaska when a glacier collapses around them, sending pieces of ice into the water. The kayakers say they heard parts of the glacier collapsing into the water and wanted to check it out firsthand. Soon after, an enormous ice bridge collapsed in front of them, sending a violent jet of water directly towards the kayakers and nearly flipping their boats. We're told the collapse created 12-foot high waves. No one was hurt. The kayakers managed to turn their boats around and get to safety. More caught on camera action tonight, but this story in California has a bizarre twist to it. Homeowners say they were hearing a strange noise coming from their chimney. Turns out it was a naked man trying to rob them. Details next. Caught on camera in California, a strange noise coming from a chimney turns out to be a naked burglar. Police say the man attempted to rob a home before getting spooked and hiding out in a neighbor's chimney. He became stuck and began to call out for help. That's when people nearby called 911. Shortly afterward, first responders showed up and worked to free the man, covering him with a towel. We're told the suspect began rambling, claiming people were trying to kill him. He was arrested on burglary charges. Another rescue caught on camera tonight. This one happening near Columbus, Ohio, where a police officer rushed into action to save two women from a house fire, and they had no idea that their home was going up in flames. Fox's Mike McCarthy with the details.
You're watching a rescue as it happened. Circleville police officer Andrew Betzel's body camera recorded the home's garage becoming engulfed in flames. With no one around to tell him whether or not anyone was home, the officer took action shortly after 6:30 this morning.
Police department!
Seconds later, the door opened, revealing a woman who police say had no idea what was happening.
It's the police department. You need to get everybody out of the house, man. The garage is on fire. Is there anybody else here with you? Yes. Okay, where are they?
Officer Betzel followed her inside. Arriving soon enough, the home hadn't been filled with smoke.
Let me get them and you go out, okay? It's the police department. Everybody needs to get out. The garage is on fire.
He woke the woman's adult daughter, and everyone escaped as the fire grew more intense and the flames eventually reached the house.
Personally, I fully believe that Officer Betzel saved their life. Without them, they might have been overcome by smoke and not realized it and possibly perished in the fire.
Sergeant Matthew Hafey says he also went in the home to double check that everyone was safe. Firefighters were delayed getting to the house because crews were dispatched to storm-related emergencies. And the chief suspected lightning caused this fire. But he was certain the lightning-fast rescue by police made all the difference for the lives at stake.
The police department was instrumental in making sure that these people got out alive.
Suing the Trump administration. That's what more than a dozen states are doing after President Trump announced sweeping changes to how green cards are handed out to lawful residents in the U.S. The impact it's having next on Fox 7 Austin News. The Trump administration gets a partial win concerning its asylum rule against migrants looking to cross the U.S.-Mexico border. A federal appeals court will now allow asylum restrictions to take effect in Texas and New Mexico. The asylum rule was issued in July by the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security. It prohibits migrants from or traveling through a third country from seeking U.S. asylum. Last month, a California district originally blocked the rule from going into effect nationwide. 13 states are now suing the Trump administration's new green card rule that will deny lawful permanent resident status to migrants who use public assistance programs such as Medicaid and food stamps. The states suing the Trump administration include Colorado, Illinois, Michigan, New Mexico, and Virginia. President Trump's new rule won't go into effect until October 15th, but these states are looking to stop or delay it from happening. According to the lawsuit, President Trump's new rule will cause parents and families across the U.S. to go without basic necessities, including food, housing, and health care, out of the fear of deportation. Many doctors across the country also have the same concerns about health care, saying poor health and rising costs will happen across the U.S. Joining us now to discuss this is immigration expert Thomas Esparza. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me, Destiny.
Well, Thomas, since this change was announced, are you getting any calls from worried clients about leaving Medicaid or other public assistance programs?
I'm getting calls daily from my clients and from people who just kind of walk in. They just want to know, can I continue to do this? Can I continue to accept this? Can I use these stamps? Can I use this payment? And the answer is absolutely yes. This doesn't affect anybody until at the minimum, at the earliest, October the 15th. It doesn't apply to anybody who's applying for adjustment of status to get their permanent resident inside the United States before October the 15th. And that deadline is not hard and fast. The government's been sued before and has lost repeatedly in the area of immigration, where they try to enact laws by fiat as opposed to going through the Administrative Procedure Act and other proper procedures for changing laws.
You just touched on who is affected by this. Can you kind of elaborate on who are the most vulnerable people affected by this?
The most vulnerable people are the people who have not had the chance to read the 837 pages of this regulation, which is to say everyone who's a potential immigrant or who's going to be an immigrant in the future, is affected and is probably affected negatively. They're probably wondering, did that food stamp, did that shot, did that medication that I took last year, did that a SNAP program that I took at school to put my kids in school, is that going to hurt me in the future? And the answer is no. Do not be afraid. This administration has weaponized words before, and they continue to do so. We're better than that. Our country was built on people who came to the United States who were uneducated, but skilled. And through their strength, through their courage, through their hard work, and through their families, we built America to what it is today. These people that are coming are not coming here to take advantage of public benefits. They're coming here to work. They believe in the American dream. We created this magnet because we're that good.
So what about the argument from the acting director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services? Earlier this week, he said, we want to see people coming to this country who are, quote, self-sufficient. What do you think he means by that, and what are your thoughts on this?
He must be talking about everybody that works at Walmart, because near as I can tell, almost everybody that works at Walmart is not making enough to be able to afford to live on their own without taking a second job. I mean, I don't really know. Everybody that comes to the United States is self-sufficient. I don't meet people coming to my office who say, how can I immigrate so I can scam and get benefits? That is not who the immigrant is in the 21st century. They still see us as a land of opportunity, a place where they can have hope, where they can have a future, even if that future means working to watch their children build on what they've done, just like immigration has done for the United States since the Pilgrims first got here.
And really quickly, while we have a few seconds, why do you feel this is happening right now?
The Trump administration is weaponizing words. I don't know if they fully believe that this is going to have a long-term impact. They might possibly believe cynically, that they're going to lose in court someday because they know the rules. They know how to play by the rules. But the words are the weaponizing of the words is what's really hurting people. That is my takeaway. Time and time again, the Trump administration has weaponized words, whether it's for DACA, whether it's for asylees, and now it's for everyone who might have ever used a public benefit. Right now, if our government gives you that benefit and they know your status and they know your child's status, use that. We're too good as a people to let our friends and neighbors our co-workers, our employees suffer at the hands of this administration.
All right, immigration attorney and expert who's very passionate about this, Thomas Esparza, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.